Time Travel Astronaut here with a Let's Play of the 7th Saga by Enix. This was requested by TattooMac86, and it's originally known in Japan as Elnard. Came out in 1993. There's some interesting quirks with this game I want to talk about before we get started with the actual playthrough. And the big one is when the localization team brought this over to North America, is they decided the game was a little too easy, I'm told. That's what the rumor is. And as they tried to tweak it, they accidentally broke the leveling up system in the original game, which is every 10 levels, your stat growth would go up by 1. So say, for example, if you gain 5 HP every level, at level 10 you'd start getting 6 HP every level, and then at level 20 you'd start getting 7, and then 8 and 9. And whatever they were doing when they localized it is they accidentally blew out that bonus, so your stat growths are constant throughout your entire playthrough, which is awful because without giving anything away, you'll have to fight enemies in the game that are using the original stat growth. So you'll be like level 20 and you'll be fighting someone, and the game expects you to be level 20 with the original Japanese level up stats. So you're at a huge disadvantage for certain fights. And to the best of my knowledge, no one's ever actually been able to fix this, just because they haven't been able to like hack into the game deep enough or whatever with a hex editor. So usually when people hack the game, they just improve the stat growth in general, or they'll fix the XP curve, but really most people just try to change it so that you're leveling up quicker or enemies are weaker or things like that. But no one's ever actually brought it back. I think the only way to do it, honestly, would be to just get the original Japanese game and then translate that to English, which nobody's really done because the game's already translated, obviously. But I think the translation's actually a little janky, too, because Nintendo had a huge problem with religious undertones in their games back then when they were brought over to North America. And unfortunately, like a lot of JRPGs at the time, this one has quite a few. But we are running a ROM hack here. It's called 7th Saga: The New Class, by a person called Natty. They're pretty in the know about the 7th Saga, so I thought I'd give this ROM hack a go. We'll just run down what exactly it does. The big one is, as the name says, they've assigned a class to each character, because you get 7 characters, but a lot of them are duplicates of each other, or they're basically the same. So what Natty did is they went in and they assigned basically a Final Fantasy style class to each of the characters, and they fiddled with their stat growth and their spells. So we'll just go through some of the changes here from the README. Apprentices have been given new classes based on Final Fantasy 1 classes. Lux is just flagged as a robot because Final Fantasy doesn't have robots. Character stats and stat increases at level up have been changed, usually increased for the most part. Spell lists have been changed, and spells are learned at different levels, usually sooner. Allowable equipment has generally not been changed. Pretty interesting. So, you know, they went through and they fiddled with the spells. One of the biggest changes is that Valsu doesn't know Elixir in this version of the game. So if you're the kind of person that actually plays the 7th Saga and uses Valsu, it's not going to fly if you run with a Natty hack. But also, bundled in with the new class stuff is all the changes from another hack called 7th Saga Redux. And the changes from that one is that weapons and armor are more powerful. They're just the raw stats are higher. Attack spells are more powerful, and armor has higher magic resistance to compensate. The MP cost has been lowered for some of the more expensive spells. And they added 2 new spells to this version of the game. They added Flee, which lets you escape from battle with a 100% success rate except from bosses, apprentices, and Class 1 monsters. And Holy, which is a single target spell of a new element. And then 2 spells were removed. Elixir was replaced by Holy. And Laser 3 was removed because that's the animation we use for Holy now. So 2 spells were removed. 2 were added. More monsters have weaknesses to specific elements, so that's more interesting if you have a party that does a lot of magic damage. Monsters' magic and speed stats have been slightly decreased near the end of the game. And monsters near the end of the game also give double gold and experience. And that's good just because as an Enix game, you're going to spend a lot of your time grinding. When people talk about the 7th Saga and like how it's one of the hardest Super Nintendo games, I personally think it's just because you level up so slow and you spend so much of the game just leveling for no reason other than monsters slap the shit out of you. Doubly so in the American version because of the stat growth thing that I mentioned. New unique equipment. One for each apprentice is available at random drops from the D-Knight enemy in the last dungeon, and then some equipment was removed to make room for this in the drop tables. And the final change is that seeds can be purchased in one of the last shops, and bottles of Protect can be purchased from the last shop. And if you're not familiar with 7th Saga, I wouldn't worry about that, but if you're familiar with 7th Saga, that's a pretty interesting change. But yeah, so we're going to play through the game with this hack. We did it. I'm recording this video now that the playthrough's over. We did beat the game with the 7th Saga new class hack. I liked it. I hope you enjoy the playthrough. Just one technical problem, unfortunately, is I didn't realize the 7th Saga actually runs at 60 frames per second. So we recorded at 30 frames per second, which unfortunately has some like pretty janky animations in combat. But other than that, I thought the whole thing turned out okay. I hope you enjoy it.